Welcome back to the AI Daily Brief. Every day it feels like a million new cool AI startups launch. So much so that it's actually pretty rare that we dig deep and cover brand new companies on this show. And yet, over the past couple of days, I've seen a handful of companies that are on the one hand just very impressive and interesting and seemingly high potential, and additionally, really reflect and tell the story of key trends shaping AI right now. So what we're going to do today is look at these 5 or so new companies, all of which have been announced literally over the last 48 hours or so, talk about them or their new products that have been announced, but then also put them in the larger context. First up, we have General Agents. CEO Sergio Auger, formerly of Tesla and Google DeepMind, writes, "Today I'm launching my new company General Agents and our first product. Introducing ACE, the first real-time computer autopilot. ACE is not a chatbot. ACE performs tasks for you, on your computer, using your mouse and keyboard at superhuman speeds." Now, by the way, this is a show that's going to be much better if you watch it because there's lots of examples going on. You should be able to watch it in the Spotify app or on YouTube. But Sergio goes on, ACE can use all the tools on your computer. And the video shared shows it grabbing images, dropping them into Google Drive, and generally doing the types of things that a human would do. Their preview videos also show the method of interaction. In Premiere Pro, it shows a user using the ACE bar to, for example, slow the video clip down to 50%, split the clip once with the cut tool, and then export it. And again, you're using verbal instructions and then letting ACE actually do the work. They point out that this can be really helpful, not just for increasing your speed and efficiency, but also for tools that you're still learning how to use. There's a bunch of other things about ACE as well, but the big thing that they're hammering is that it's fast. In fact, they claim 20 times faster than competing agents, making it, as they say, more practical for everyday use. Speed is definitely what caught people's attention with this. Replit CEO Amjad Masad said, "Insane speed. Computer use models have not seen major commercial breakthrough because they're slow and expensive. This is a huge unlock." William Gus, a former research scientist at OpenAI, who's now at General Agents as well, writes, "ACE is the world's fastest AI computer use agent. This is fundamentally a new way to use computers." When someone asked, "How does it work?" William responded, "It takes in pixels and instructions and outputs click, drag, keyboard, etc. actions at 300 milliseconds round-trip latency." In other words, it's doing full screenshot image processing extremely quickly. Now, in terms of the discussion around this, outside of it just being fast, some people pointed out that advances coming from startups like this mean that it's not just the big labs that are going to have all the fun in the new era. F. Schumann on Twitter also pointed out that the expansion of human creativity, to go with a theme from yesterday's show, is one of the byproducts of this type of computer use tool, where, as he puts it, anyone can now operate software without even knowing how to operate it. That is a huge breakthrough and certainly wasn't on my bingo card for this year. So there are obviously a lot of themes that I think this startup represents. Broadly speaking, of course, agents, the most important, most dominant category of AI advancements right now, but more specifically, this idea of expanding agent capabilities through computer use. This is something that we started to see inklings of at the end of last year, and this appears to be a major jump forward on that. Obviously, if you listened to yesterday's show about the 5 fast-changing AI transformations that'll keep you up at night, you'll have heard me talk about the expansion of human creativity. And as we just heard, being able to talk at software and have your agent do it with you does absolutely expand which software tools a person can use. Lastly, the fact that the speed of computer use is now exceeding humans, I think gives us a glimpse into the future where AI and agents aren't just as performant as people, but are actually better at things. Now, obviously, AI is better at many things already, but this is a highly visual example of that. Another theme which it's a little too early to explore is whether US state-of-the-art agent capabilities can drive as much virality as recent releases from China like Manus. We might be a little constrained in this case because General Agents is only available as a research preview, not as a full product, but still that's something that I'll be watching. Next up, we have Lindy, and of course, while Lindy isn't new, its new Swarms feature is. I won't spend a ton of time on this because I got into it yesterday, but I think co-founder Lindy Drope actually does a great job explaining this. She writes, "This AI agent turns one workflow into a multi-agent empire working in parallel. Fed it one event URL, and here's what happened. It extracted every speaker's details, deep researched each person using LinkedIn news and PR, found and transcribed their podcast appearances, crafted emails with their exact quotes, making them impossible to ignore, identified lookalike profiles, and repeated the process on autopilot. The net result," she says, "it just sent 370 impossible to ignore personalized emails in seconds versus an entire day of manual work. We're building AI employees that run entire companies autonomously." What about someone outside the company? Michael Raspuzzi writes, "First test using Lindy Loops, trying out a series of custom deep research agents using Perplexity and Anthropic. Context, we're prepping for our next AI and health hack, So I want a quick update across different non-invasive imaging modalities. I texted it LFUS, FNIRS, and ultrasound, and it cooked. What would have taken 1 to 2 hours manually, 25 minutes with AI tools, took 2 minutes with Lindy AI. One more test from Alex Carson. They write, agent swarms let AI agents duplicate themselves to tackle hundreds of tasks simultaneously. The new capability immediately scales what's possible with AI automation by allowing agents to divide and conquer across large datasets without complex coding or custom API connections. You provide a list of tasks, and Lindy automatically spawns duplicate agents to handle each item concurrently. Testing this feature with a YouTube to blog post workflow showed the impressive potential. I created a simple flow that triggers when new URLs are added to a spreadsheet, creates a loop that processes each URL simultaneously, transcribes each video, and generates a professionally formatted blog post, and then returns all completed posts and chat messages. And so what's the theme here? It's not just agents. Obviously, we've already covered agents as the big dominant theme. No, what's interesting to me is this is effectively my Doctor Strange theory of AI agent work come to life. This is not a one-to-one replacement for existing work. This is the very early innings of what you can do if you were able to hire hundreds of people instead of just one for a particular task. Those 370 personalized emails that Lindy sent is an example of how you would apply this to sales. I think we are going to see so much more of this in the next few months, and it's actually going to take the new capabilities being available before people can even come close to figuring out how to actually take full advantage. Startup number 3 is called Paid, and a very appropriate name it is. Manny Medina writes, I'm officially launching my new company, Paid. We just raised 10 million euro to solve the biggest problem no one's talking about in AI. AI agents are growing fast, but face a critical challenge: how to monetize and capture the value they create. Traditional software billing doesn't solve this problem. At Paid, we're solving this problem by smart pricing that aligns with actual value creation, real-time margin tracking to ensure profitability, clear dashboards that demonstrate ROI to customers, billing, invoicing, revenue recovery, taxes, and all the back office needs in a single pane of glass. With just a few lines of code, AI builders can focus on creating amazing agents while we handle the business engine behind them. Summing it up even more clearly, their website calls this the business engine for AI agents. To me, this is reflective of the fact that agents are now officially shifting from interesting toys and novelties to actual production-ready tools that are going to go in and change how we do work. Paid is an example of the critical infrastructure that is being built to enable agents to live up to their full potential. Effectively, everything that human employees do now, every service that we have around them, is going to have some proximate version in the agent world. This is going to be an incredibly rich vein for startups in the coming years, and as you can see, is already happening with gusto right now. Next up, we're moving on from agents, at least sort of, to another huge theme of the moment, which is, of course, vibe coding. And for that, we turn to the company called, yes, Vibe Code. They write, in order for billions of people to vibe code, we need a tool with the power of Cursor and the simplicity of ChatGPT. That, they argue, is the new app that they've built, Vibe Code. Now, this comes from Riley Brown and his co-founders. Riley was and is, I think, the world's biggest AI TikToker, but over the past 6 months or so has really gone all in on vibe coding. He's been building things for himself, using content to come up with new theories of how creators are going to code things in the future. And this is the app that he and some friends basically built for himself to do what he wanted to do. One of the examples he showed off was vibe coding a mobile video game in a single prompt. And what's cool about this, if you've used something like Lovable and Bolt, is that this is a native mobile interface. Instead of focusing on web applications, Vibe Code is starting with a focus on mobile applications. And when excited users started posting on the announcement thread that sign up wasn't working, Vibe Code basically said that they were already full up. So in terms of the themes here, obviously vibe coding in general is a big one, but the mobile integration is really fascinating as well. As Eddie Yoon points out, right now the average interaction with vibe coding is still via text, but imagine vibe coding with voice. Funny enough, when Andrej Karpathy originally talked about vibe coding, he talked about how he was using Whisper to talk to his computer to do it. So in some ways, this would be an actual instantiation of where the whole thing started. Vibecode's Anshananda writes, the best feeling in the world is when you build something and others can use it. With Vibe Code, we hope to enable anyone get that feeling. And of course, that is the big resonance of vibe coding with people, is this expansion of human creativity and creative capacity. And that was not the only example. One of the challenges for vibe coders is that there are a whole bunch of pieces beyond just writing the code. And some of those things remain outside of people's technical capacities. Now, of course, you can use vibe coding tools or separate LLMs to get help with those things. And all of the vibe coding tools have some version of a single button push to publish. Still, Andrej Karpathy summed up a lot of people's feelings when he tweeted about a week ago. The reality of building web apps in 2025 is that it's a bit like assembling IKEA furniture. There's no full stack product with batteries included. You have to piece together and configure many individual services. Front-end and back-end, hosting, database, authentication, blob storage, email, payments, background jobs, analytics, monitoring, dev tools, secrets, etc. He continues, I'm relatively new to modern web dev and find the above a bit overwhelming. E.g., I'm embarrassed to share it took me 3 hours the other day to create and configure a Supabase with a Vercel app and resolve a few errors. The second you stray just slightly from the getting started tutorial in the docs, you're suddenly in the wilderness. It's not even code, it's configurations, plumbing, orchestration, workflows, best practices. A lot of glory will go to whoever figures out how to make it accessible and just work out of the box, for both humans and increasingly and especially AIs. Now, a lot of the vibe coding platforms showed up in the comments saying keep an eye out. Anton from Lovable said exactly what we're building at Lovable. One of the respondents, though, was Nicholas Charrier, who wrote, this is exactly our vision for Mocha. Not glued together developer tools all made slightly easier, but a fully integrated one-stop shop. And this company, Mocha, was also just announced a couple of days ago. Nicholas writes, introducing Mocha. We're incredibly excited to launch the absolute best way to build full-stack web apps. No code, no templates, just describe what you want and watch it come to life. He continues, for too long, ideas have died because building products required too much technical knowledge. We're changing this. Describe your vision in human terms, get a complete working product in minutes. Keep iterating and adding features, then deploy in one click. All integrated. Unlike other website builders, Mocha aims to be fully integrated. You won't need to pay and connect 5 services to get auth, databases, front-end hosting, email, etc. Just one. We take a highly opinionated approach based on our experience building top web products like Pinterest and Nextdoor. You describe outcomes, Mocha handles the rest. They even gave an example of what you could do. Nicholas calls out Tom, a small business owner in Texas who operates an HVAC servicing company. Tom used Mocha to build custom-tailored web apps for each customer with personalized branding and functionality, which he said increased deal conversion, customer satisfaction, and velocity by 200%. And indeed, he sums up our theme here at the end. We're entering an era where everyone, not just engineers, can build personal software. The era of idea people and personal software. We couldn't be more excited. Now, I haven't had a chance to dig into Mocha yet, but in terms of us looking at startups both as very cool things on their own, but also as reflective of trends, it is so clear that this is where vibe coding is heading. This is absolutely the next frontier, the thing for people who are trying to push things beyond just prototyping and into production. I think it is no mean feat to actually integrate this entire experience end to end, but I also think that this is going to be completely table stakes for these companies. It is going to be an absolute onslaught race between Bolt and Lovable and Mocha, and the big beneficiary is all of us who get to build things that were never possible before. So that is the list. 5 startups that have come out in the past week that reflect some of AI's most important trends. Again, we had General Agents, who released ACE, the real-time computer autopilot. Lindy, who announced their agent swarms. Basically, if you ever wanted your own army of employees, now you can have it. Paid, which is building agent infrastructure, making it easier for agents to actually interact with financial rails. Vibe Code, which is taking the vibe coding world onto mobile. And Mocha, which is advancing vibe coding entirely by moving towards an end-to-end experience. AI remains the most interesting and exciting space in the world, and I'm thrilled to be able to share it with you every day. For now, that's going to do it for today's AI Daily Brief. Appreciate you listening or watching as always, and until next time, peace